Just gonna start out basically head to toe, okay? Plant the hands against the sides, pack the core, drive the feet into the ground, feel like your feet are rooted through the floor. Then we're gonna start with the neck, so I'm gonna tuck my chin back, make sure I don't move from the top of my skull, okay? I'm gonna move from the chin, to emphasize stretching through the neck muscles, okay? So I'm gonna turn, look over the shoulder, and get this big reach, half moon, draw this big circle up overhead, really start to feel the pull on that open angle, okay? Side of the joint, all the way across. Then you can start to feel it out. Really tuck the chin to get a little bit more pull on the back side of the neck as you roll back through the square, and then we can go the opposite direction. Reaching that chin, again, feeling the stretch here. Changes the stretch as it comes around to the other side. Make sure that you're fighting for those inches. Sitting here and it feels a little bit gunky. I can just put a little bit extra time. Maybe try and feel it out a little bit more. Maybe I try and work up a joint closer to the base of the skull and really full control over that. So that's your neck. Great one to start with. Then we can just work downstream. So I'm going to get into the shoulders. Again, plant the hands against the side, pack the core, all that good stuff. Every single time, every single rep even, you can reset if you need to. So this one's a real personal favorite of mine because I have bad shoulders, so I'm going to shrug up as high as I possibly can, get into those corners of the square, pull back, full retraction as much as you can, de-elevate the shoulders as much as possible, really trying to pull the shoulder blades into the back pockets, and then sliding forward along that bottom side of the square. So for me, it's usually that bottom back corner is the toughest. So I need to spend a little bit more time there. And again, you can make these as intense or as relaxed as you want to, depending on what your goal is for the workout. If it's your warm up for the day, maybe end up doing 5 to 10 each direction at a light intensity, and then a few reps at a higher intensity. Next one is the GH joint, okay? So your little side view. So this one, we want to feel like your scapula is almost out of the equation. It's packed back, core's tight, all that good stuff again. Plant the hand against the side, we're going to come up into full shoulder flexion. Okay, as high as you possibly can. Nowhere else to go here, okay? If I start to pull back any further, it's going to be the lumbar or something's trying to extend instead. Boom, hit that, and then I got to start to internally rotate my shoulder. I want to try and get the palm to the sky as soon as we can. Feel the end of that shoulder extension, and all the way down. So I'm in full internal rotation right here. Pinky should be forward, okay? Still nice and square. I'm going to lead up with the back of the hand, okay? Hit that full shoulder extension again. Nowhere else to go. The only way to keep moving is to start to externally rotate now on the way back. Okay, think of throwing a ball, anything overhead. Very important movement for that. All right, another rep, nice and slow. Boom, rotating through. So notice how I'm not opening up my torso too much. Really trying to stay almost like you're working between two doors. Narrow as you possibly can. More into the T-spine. Okay, so we want to start to flex down. Really crunch into it when you feel the end of that back is starting to get into the lumbar region. That's as far as we need to go. I'm going to add a little bit of a twist, okay, side bend, and really trying to isolate one or two vertebrae here. And I'm going to roll around, big stretch, keeping the hips as stationary as you can. So again, notice I'm not throwing my hips with the body. That'd be an indication of instability, something we would need to work on separately. Okay, so we're going to roll through, get to that end position. I can re-crunch, twist, a little side bend, trying to isolate one or two vertebrae, rolling around. And the beauty of this one is that you can really work upstream. Boom, crunch a little bit higher, roll a little bit higher until you work up all the way, almost right back up to the neck. Okay, next one we just work downstream a little bit more, so we're going to attack more like our lumbar, pelvis region. So I'm going to lock my head, my feet in place. I'm almost just going to try and hula hoop as wide as I can. Okay, hands kind of wherever's comfortable. Still staying pretty irradiated, and I really need to make sure I'm pushing my hip out as far as I can, pushing back, feeling a little stretch in the hamstrings, pushing the hip, feeling that TFL stretching out a little bit, driving forward. Okay, boom, rolling through, maybe 5 each direction. That's just a nice fun one too. You look a little silly, but hey, you gotta be. Next one, we're gonna try and isolate the pelvis a little bit more. So same drill, just a little bit smaller circles. So I wanna feel like I'm drawing with my tailbone almost. So I'm gonna roll the pelvis forward, okay, big tilt there. And I'm gonna try and push my butt to the side almost. Again, a little side tilt, rolling back in that anterior pelvic tilt, and then to the side again. Okay, we're almost just doing a little salsa here. And really good stretch if you have any lower back tightness or your QLs are tight or anything like that. Really nice one to just help get a little bit of movement in there. Okay, hit our elbows and our wrists. Okay, so we want to be nice and irradiated again, core tight, all that good stuff. I can keep a thumb at the top of my ulna if I just want to have that a little bit of a focal point. So I'm going to do, pack the shoulders back, okay, keep that nice and back. We're going to flex up all the way, really squeeze into that bicep. I'm going to rotate my thumb around my pinky, okay? So the radius is rotating around the ulna. And then I'm going to press down, full extension of the elbow, really squeeze again, and then I'm going to rotate back through. Okay, so this one don't feel like it has to be the same square every time. If I notice my pronation is a little bit off, okay, I can stay in that pronated grip and just kind of grease that groove a little bit more, do a few reps there, okay? And if you don't have bad elbows, this one isn't going to feel like much, but for someone like myself, my right arm does really have bad pronation, so I can't quite get to that full position I need to, so just an indication I need to lay off the barbell work for the time being until I can properly grip a barbell without compensating upstream. So that's just a nice example of how this can be a great little self-assessment tool. If you find that you are getting tweaked in the gym and you can't really figure out why, it might just be a mechanical issue downstream that's impacting your whole movement. All right, next would be the wrist. So really important here that we keep the forearm belly up. Okay, we don't want to compensate through that elbow now, so we're going to lock that in place, almost hold it with the other arm. Okay, judo chop hand. So what I'm going to do is flex my fingers all the way to the sky, roll them in, okay, start to flex down, extend down, and then coming inwards. Okay, so this one might almost look like a little bit more of a diamond. A lot of grinding going on here. This one's usually pretty painful, pretty tender, so just working at an appropriate intensity. If you have a desk job, if you're sitting down all the time using a computer, this is the money for you, okay? You need to make sure you're doing this 100 times a day almost. Just getting a little bit of light movement. Again, doesn't need to be super intense, but getting movement in that joint is key. Too often we feel like our wrist is locked in place with the forearm, so we need the ability to manipulate that joint individually as well as lock it in place when you need to do something a little bit stronger or sturdier, like say throw a punch or something like that. Okay, so now we work down, everything feel good there, into the hips. So again, we can do these hips from a bunch of different positions. You can balance up, use a wall, whatever's clever. Down in the quadruped position as well is a good one. I usually like standing because it really challenges the balance. Let's see if I can do good. So what we're going to do is bring the knee up all the way, full hip flexion. Okay, then we're going to try and rotate into this big side kick. So notice I'm having a nice abduction here. I'm trying to pull my body closer to the joint as well, but I'm also trying to make sure that I'm nice and internally rotated so my ankle isn't all the way down. Okay, that's going to just hit a little more hip flexor. I want to challenge these abductors here at this top position. I'm going to rotate back into full hip extension, really squeeze the glutes back there, and then we're going to pause for a sec, come back the other way. So lift up into that big side kick, really challenge the abduction, stepping over that big hurdle, all the way back to center, and then back through. Okay, here, so we're going to start out with the back again, kind of work from proximal to distal. So we're going to start with the spine. Okay, a lot of time when we do these cat-cows, almost looks like someone's pulling at the center of the spine with a rope or something like that. Okay, we don't want to feel like that. We want to create a little bit more of a wave. So what I'm going to get you to do is puff up all the way, really push your shoulders out. Okay, and then we're going to start from the tailbone, almost feel like you're trying to get the tailbone to the sky, and then it's going to be a continuous wave up the spine, trying to really attack one vertebrae along the way, all the way up to the neck. When you get there, you can start at the opposite direction or work back to the tailbone again. We're going to start from the neck, tuck the chin, start to round that upper back, creating that wave. This direction is a lot harder for me. And then we want to feel like the tailbone would be the last thing to curl through. Okay? Starting at the tailbone, create that wave. Really get a nice pull at the low back here. If it feels like it's a little bit tender, you can hang out here, maybe do a couple extra little movements. Maybe add a little bit of a butt waggle, a side cat if that feels better for you. And then we can work again all the way upstream, attacking those areas that speak to you the most. Okay, side cats as well. Just kind of peek behind the butt. Okay, this is a nice one for the side bend. And again, you can work up one vertebrae at a time as well. So you get all the way up just the shoulders and you're almost trying to twist the floor apart and then into the neck a little bit more. Okay, next thing we're going to get into the shoulders a little bit more. So these are just like a scapular push-up. We're going to add our shoulder cars at the same time. So I'm going to drop down, really retract my shoulder blades as much as I can. Shrug forward as high as you can into that corner of the square. Start to push the ground away. Okay, really important to pronate as much as you can. Protract as much as you can, and then pull the shoulder blades back into the pockets. Down, forward, up, back. Okay, this one's also pretty good. You can work into a single arm position, hand wherever's comfortable. Boom, makes it a little bit more challenging, just adding a little bit more body weight to that arm. Okay, if I want to ramp it up a little bit more even, I can pop up into a downward dog position and try and do a few scat cars there. We got our hips again. Okay, so we're going to basically go through the same process, just a little bit easier here because again, balance is out of the equation. So I'm going to pack the core, get all nice and sturdy. I'm going to bring the knee to the elbow, full hip flexion. Open up as much as you can. Again, abduct, really challenge that hip. We're gonna rotate into full hip extension, kicking the heel to the sky. And notice how I'm not really arching the lower back. I just want to feel like my thigh is parallel with my torso, okay? Then I'm gonna come back down, a little bit of a break period, kick back up to the sky. Again, not hyperextending that lower back. Then we're gonna rotate into that big side kick as high as you can, all the way around. If I want to ramp that up a little bit more, just keep the legs straight. So I'm gonna kick straight back. Again, full extension from the hip, not attacking the lower back too much. I'm gonna rotate again, big side kick, keeping that foot up as high as you can. Touch down, maybe add a little bit of rotation if you need it. Start to reach the foot a little farther out so we get a little more stretch at the groin. Brace, lift, hardest part of the movement is that lift, and then rotating back to center. If we flip over onto the butt, we can attack the knees and the hamstrings a little bit more. So I'm gonna pull the knee into the chest. Okay, really stay nice and sturdy here. If we start to slouch, it becomes a lot easier to move that knee joint. We'll stay nice and tall, pull it right in. I'm gonna rotate my low leg, all right? Just like the radial ulnar, we're gonna rotate that as much as you can, the tib fib. Full extension of the knee, okay, fight for it. Rotate in, hard flex down. Kicking up, rotate, down. So again, if I feel like, my external rotation of my leg here feels a little bit off, I can just hold that external position and kind of grease that pattern a little bit more, attack those lines that speak to you the most, okay? And that feels like it's spent. We're just gonna lock the shin in place and start to work through the ankle a little bit more. Same deal, big circles. Feel like you're drawing this with a marker attached to your big toe. Challenge those end positions. A little bit grindy, a little cracky, just like the wrist. That's okay, work through the pain a little bit. Nothing too sharp, of course. Dull ache is okay. All right. And then we can also just stab that heel into the floor. If you feel like it's pretty hard to isolate that tib fib rotation, we can just put it into the floor and attack it there a little bit more isolated. Okay, again, challenging for every millimeter you can. Basically get into our same hip cars just from this tough position, so it really helps avoid compensation because we're nice and tight to the ground. First off though, we want to make sure we're not going to arch our back, so we're really going to tuck the pelvis underneath, almost try and create a little space under the belly so your core is nice and engaged. Okay, knee bent, we're going to kick the heel to the sky to start, 2 inches off. So just like before again, I'm not driving up to arch the spine through, I'm just getting that 1 inch lift off, really engaging the glute through, and then I'm going to try and drive my knee as high around up the floor as I can. Really important here to make sure that everything touches together. Okay, we don't want to just come through and let that heel touch first because we're kind of cheating the movement that way. Okay, brace, push into the ground, make sure to radiate. Going to lift off from there, toughest part of the drill, that lift off, and then we're going to rotate back through. Quick little progression, same drill, we just do a straight leg. So lift off, same deal, glute activated. Going to roll through into that big side kick. Touch down as high up the floor as you can. Brace, lift, and then roll back through. Really good one for the shoulders. A little bit hard to see here, but we're going to start behind our back. Really important that we pull our scapula together, get as much retraction as you can. And we're going to try and lift up off the back. A couple inches there. That's a little bit of a hard shoulder extension. Extend the elbows. Going to swim through, keeping the spine neutral. Fire up as you can. Reach for it. Come back behind the head like you're getting arrested. Relax for a second. Retract. Extend. Swim back through. Really feel the change in activation as you come past the shoulder line. Try and hover off the back for a couple seconds and then relax. This is our side lying windmills. So here, really important that we start just a nice position, good setup, 90-degree angles everywhere. Okay, you can put a ball under the knee if you want a little bit more of an anchor point. We're going to start by reaching our arm as far as you can, really extend the shoulders. We're going to try and keep the thumb along the floor as you open up, okay? Feel free to open up the chest big time. We want to try and keep that knee honest as close to the floor as we can. Roll through, big stretch in the chest. As you come back over, okay, feel free to pause at the line that speaks to you the most. So usually as we're coming through, like this 30, 45-degree angle, that's going to hit the pec the most. So we can kind of hang out there, maybe breathe through it, grease the groove, put a little bit more time into that line if you need it. Okay, come through, so usually about 5-6 reps aside there. Same position, knee up, okay, perpendicular thigh. What we're going to do is almost like our knee car variation. So we're going to be here, we're going to extend the knee fully, okay, fight for that full extension. You can get a little bit of rotation at the top, and then we're going to make sure to flex hard as well. Really squeeze down in there, okay, that's tough for a lot of people. Make sure you're challenging that. Okay, up, down, round, and through. Okay, and we can also add a little bit of rotation at the hip here. Again, perpendicular thigh, we're going to just try and rotate externally as much as you can. Rotate internally as much as you can. Okay, and be mindful as well when you switch sides. What feels good, what doesn't, what's more limited. Okay, both legs have different responsibilities for the day, so you got to assess them individually.